give the committee the courtesy of reply to some of these questions today.
I rise with some hesitation after so many speeches, such powerful speeches from every corner of your Lordship's House. But having attached my name to two amendments here, 17 in the name of the Noble Lady Baroness Butler-Sloss and 27 in the name of the Noble Baroness Hanway, I rise to make 2 points. The first of which is, whilst I very much agree with the Noble Lady Baroness Meacher that all children who arrive as refugees should not be covered by this bill, indeed nobody should be covered by this bill, but there is a special case, I think, to be made for unaccompanied children who have no adult with them to support them. And I'd invite members of your Lordship's House to consider what it would be like if tomorrow you were dropped into a foreign country where you don't speak the language or speak it very imperfectly, you have no resources, you know nobody, you're a person who's got decades of experience, life experience, but still think of how difficult that would be to cope. And then imagine what it would be like for an 18-year-old who's known a life of war, of torture, of suffering, thought they'd found safety, and then are thrown out again. Now, the second point that I wanted to make is to pick up a point made by the Noble Lord the Minister in the previous group, who suggested that this bill arises out of an emergency situation that's suddenly arisen overnight, and this is the excuse for why we don't have an impact assessment for this bill. Well, of course, what we have is a situation which has been developing over a decade or more. We saw people seeking to come across the Channel, including, since we're focusing on them, many unaccompanied children, getting underneath the axles into sealed lorries, under trains, and dying as a result all too often. And I'm going to go back to 2016, 7 years ago, when I went to a memorial service for one of those people, a 15-year-old called Masood. He was an Afghan who died in the back of a lorry trying to get to the UK, trying to get here to be with his sister. Now, this picks up the point made by the Noble Lord, Lord Kerr, about the lack of means for these children to get here legally. Masood should have been able to get here, but he couldn't, and he took his chances and he died. But had Masood made it, think about where Masood would be now. Masood, as a 15-year-old, would have had at least 3 years, maybe more, in our education system, would be part of our society, would be contributing. But imagine a Masood who's arrived since this bill is seeking to come into operation. And this picks up by points made by the Noble Lady Baroness Hanway, among others. What is Masood going to do just before his 18th birthday? What would any of us do? He is going to have to go into the black economy, the grey economy that we know our hostile environment has thrust so many people into already, into the illegal car washes, into the illegal marijuana farms, where recently we saw 4 Vietnamese men, almost certainly victims of modern slavery, die in horrific conditions. Thrust into, there's recently been coverage about the gig economy. You can rent an identity to be a delivery driver for a night, all under the carpet, all open to abuse and exploitation. Is that what we really want to do to children? Is that what we really want to do to our society, to make a society in which that segment of it grows and grows and grows? Because, as others have said, there is no way the government is going to be able to make the removals that it says it's seeking to.
Yes. My Lords, I have in my name the Stan Part Amendment, and